Alright, welcome to the first power rankings I've done on YouTube so far. This should be fun. I just want to preface this with saying I don't have a Seattle Kraken or a Vegas Golden Knights magnet yet. And I'm also doing this on the small board because my big white board apparently isn't magnetic, so gotta figure that out. So that's why I'm wearing the Seattle Kraken hat and the Vegas jersey, because they should still be represented. Alright, let's get it started. We're going to start with number 32, the last team. It's the Montreal Canadiens. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that. You can kind of see it. Anyway, Canadiens, they're in disarray. It's rebuilding season. Carey Price still isn't back yet. Who knows if he'll probably come back this season, but who knows? We'll see. Nick Suzuki's a lot of fun to watch, but they're just in a rough spot, and they're rebuilding. And another team that's rebuilding in 31st spot is the Coyotes. The Coyotes are still kind of fun to watch. They either play a really good close game or they're just getting blown out. But those close games can be fun. Wedgwood's been excellent in net, so it's been excellent. Next up we have the NHL, the Seattle Kraken. So they're going to be represented by an NHL logo. Vegas will be represented by an NHL Western Conference logo. Kraken, they're a good team. They're a good team. They play physical. They play a little gritty. They're able to stay in each game if they were to get the goaltending that we know they can get. They are third to last in terms of goals against let in. The last two, like the worst two teams being the Canadiens and the Coyotes. So if they can address their goaltending, because their defense hasn't necessarily been bad, it's been rough to watch the goaltending. They could definitely move up, and they're still a brand new team, so a lot of potential, a lot of room to grow. Next up, we have the Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo is in a rough spot. Luukkonen has been a bright spot on their team. He's come in, he's played excellent hockey, but they haven't done so hot in the last 10 games. They've really started to become the Buffalo we all love to to see lose. I don't think anyone loves seeing them lose anymore, but they're in a tough spot still. Yeah. Next up, we have the Devils. Now, this may surprise some people that they're this low. They've been rough the past 10 games. They're on a 6-game losing streak. Their total record is 10-15-5. And in their last 10 games, they're 1-8-1. I like watching Jersey. I think they're fun to watch. They just haven't been able to put it together on the ice. And they will. They have a lot of upside, a lot of potential, a lot of future talent. They seem to have been. They're paying their young players, which means they're investing in the team. We'll see in the next few years what comes of the Devils, but for now, for this season, not so high up. All right, 27. We have Ottawa Senators. I love the Senators. They have a lot of potential. They show flashes of being great, but they're terrible. Their GM came into the beginning of the season saying the rebuild's done, we're playoff contenders. They're not. And they've been riddled with injuries here and there too. Matt Murray obviously got sent down to the AHL for his contract. What's it called? But there's been bright spots, like Batherson's been unbelievable this year, and so it is what it is. I'm rooting for them. It's been, I don't know. I want to see the Senators win. Buffalo, I grew up not liking Buffalo, so I'm good seeing them not win. But at the same time, I feel so bad for their fan base. They need some wins. But yeah, no. Next up is the New York Islanders. So I don't know. I know they lost Eberle, and they're getting older with the re-signing of Andy Green and the signing of Zdeno Chara. But they're a tough team to play against. They still have Varlamov in net. They still have gritty guys. They still have a solid defense. Again, they've had the COVID, they've had the injuries, they had the long road game streak to start the season. Was it at 13 games or something crazy? Yeah, man. I think they're underrated, but I don't think they're definitely not making the playoffs this year. And I don't know how much success they would have if they made the playoffs. But I don't necessarily I hate seeing them in this last column. I think they're better than where they are, but we'll see. Time will tell. They need to turn it around, and they need to do it quickly, and they haven't been showing that as of late. So, with that being said, next up on the list, Chicago Blackhawks. Chicago Blackhawks, they just can't score goals. I don't know what it is. It's not like they don't have all these talented players. They definitely are struggling with a bottom six. And you got like Dylan Strome played on the first line last game, or at least he started on the first line. He's not necessarily a goal scorer. He's more of an assist guy. He plays very responsible on the defensive side of things. They're struggling for goals right now, and they're actually doing worse in goals scored than the next team on this, which is the Philadelphia Flyers. At 24. And the Flyers are, as we all know, struggling real hard to score goals. Their goaltending's been okay. Carter Hart's been pretty good. I don't know. I'm still a little skeptical of Carter Hart, but the stats don't lie. He's been playing. He's had an excellent bounce-back season from last season. In the season before that, it was his rookie season, was excellent. So he's solidified himself as an NHL starting goaltender at such a young age. Their defense hasn't been bad. It's been questionable at times, and you're not quite sure why. Maybe the guys are still trying to get some chemistry, but the offense just hasn't been there. They need more goals, kind of like Chicago. We'll see what comes with that. Next up is the Columbus Blue Jackets. So Blue Jackets, I love the Blue Jackets. I always root for them. But they're 2-7-1 in their last 10 games. They aren't doing so great. They're, Merzlika's in net's been great. Korpisalo's been kind of rough to watch as a backup, and I love Korpisalo. I'm kind of hoping they trade him so he gets an opportunity to prove himself in another organization, maybe as like a 1A, 1B, maybe just in a backup role with different defensive pairings in front of him, different coaching scheme. I don't know. I just want to see Columbus go on a run. I've been waiting years for it, and it's not looking like this is the year for that. Next up, we have the San Jose Sharks. They've been a bit of a weird team to watch. Overall, they played about 500 hockey, which isn't horrible, but it's not great. But they seem to give some really good teams really difficult games, and then they'll lose to like the Coyotes and the Kraken on a regular basis. Okay. Again, I like the Sharks. I've always liked the Sharks. I'm hoping they can kind of turn it around. We'll see. James Reimer's been unbelievable in net for San Jose. Good for him. I've always been rooting for him. I love James Reimer. But, that's where they sit. Next up, we have a funky team in the Dallas Stars. Dallas is unique in the fact that their really young players are giving their team all their production. Their veteran players are really not doing so well. Some of them aren't doing poorly. Like Tyler Sagan's not doing horrible this year, but he's not producing at a rate we know he can. Jordy Benn's been Khudobin sent down to the AHL. But bright spots like Rope Hintz, Jake Ottinger's been a beast this year. He's fun to watch in that. Speaking of young goalies, so they sit at 20. Next up, we have the Detroit Red Wings. The Red Wings, they're a young team. They're very young. They have three of the 4 top 5 Calder candidates this year. They're very young. Even if they don't make the playoffs this year, they're going to be good. The Steve Yzerman plan is on track. It's been a long plan, but it's in progress and it's still going, and we're nearing the end. And It's exciting to see Detroit get back into the competitive ways because they used to be a powerhouse. Yeah, we'll see with Detroit. Next up, I just want to say this too. I grew up a Boston fan. I watch all their games. I watch all the Bruins games. I wouldn't necessarily be mad this year to see Detroit make the playoffs and knock off Boston. Boston kind of needs a reality check. They need to make a lot of changes behind the scenes, but Detroit, and they have like very loyal fans. It's a fun team to go watch. It's up and coming. It's hard not to root for Detroit this year. If you may hate them from past dynasties they've had, but they're a fun team to watch right now. So next up we have the Vancouver Canucks, flying up that chart. This might actually be a little, I don't know, it's about right. So what are they, 22nd in overall points, but they're on a 6-game winning streak, 6-0 under Bruce Boudreau. It's a new team, it's a fresh start. If they can keep these winning ways up, maybe win 8 out of every 10 games, they will be a playoff team. And even like a week and a half ago, nobody thought that was even an option. So it's been incredible. Technically their points have them further down on the list, but the team has so much firepower, so much offense. You got the defense even was a question mark coming into the season, and that's really been the only bright spot on the team. Demko is playing out of his mind. I love Demko. Good for him. So we'll see what the Canucks do. I most certainly don't cheer for them, but they're a lot of, again, just kind of like the Red Wings. They're a lot of fun to watch this year, whether you like them or not. It's good hockey. So I'm rooting for them. It's been a long time for them. I'd like to see them go on a run as well, give some playoff success. We'll see what happens. But next up, we have the Kings, and smack dab in the middle. It's about right. I don't know. I don't know what to say about the Kings. You got guys like Kopitar and Quick who are having they just keep producing. Quick's kind of refound his game. Doughty's had a good season. They got some young guys that are, on a roll, but they're kind of an enigma. They play really good some nights, and they play trash hockey other nights. And when they're playing great, it's really fun to watch, and when they're not playing great, it's kind of hard to watch. So I don't know. It's been about 500 hockey. They kind of show up to 500, 50% of their games. They're in the middle of the board. Kind of makes sense. Next up, sitting just outside the playoff line, I have it. The Boston Bruins. Now, I think they make the playoffs. I do. But it's because of their first line, and that's really it. Then their goaltending, and their defense is all right, but there's no depth scoring there. We've seen Marchand be out for, 4 of the last 5 games, 5 of the last 6 games, or whatever it's been. And the Bruins have struggled to score goals. The defense is good. It's reliable. Great. Could it be better? Most certainly. But at the same time, it's deep. So even if you have your third line pairing out there, they match well to other third lines in the league. Even the second line, is good. So we'll see. I think they need to make some changes. I think they need a bit of a reality check. Swayman and Ullmark and that have been fantastic so far. See what happens with them. I think they get in on the last wild card spot, but I think they lose in the first round. That's my prediction. Hopefully I'm wrong, but we'll see what happens. Next up, the Winnipeg Jets. Now, I like the Jets. They have a lot of potential. They have a Vezina quality goaltender in net. Their coach was disappointed in the season they're having. Needed a new voice in the locker room. Walked out. So they're kind of on the cusp of do they sink or swim? We'll find out with a new coach, because a new voice may do wonders, as we've seen that happen in Vancouver. May do wonders in Winnipeg, but we've also seen coaches come in and not have a great impact, kind of like Montreal, Philadelphia. Just a couple examples this season. So we'll see what happens. I'm rooting for Winnipeg. I like Winnipeg. They're fun to watch. See what happens. For now, they're at 16th. Could see them going both ways on the board. Next up, we have the Edmonton Oilers. Now, they dropped quite a bit because they couldn't find their winning ways for a bit. What's it called? They got off to a hot start. They've really struggled to get any wins lately, and then the last 2 games, they're on a 2-game winning streak. Woo! So hopefully they found their game back, but it's really shown that if you can shut down Draisaitl, man, I almost said Drysdale. That's not the right team. That's the Ducks. If you can shut down Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, you have a pretty good chance of winning. If you can keep the Oilers off the power play, you have a pretty good chance of winning against the Oilers. It's not like they have a bad team, but we'll see. It's been shown you can shut down McDavid and Draisaitl and get a few wins against, or a few points against Edmonton. So we'll see if they figure that out. It looks like the last few games they've adjusted, but season's still young. Next up, St. Louis Blues. Oh, it's been such a roller coaster for Blues fans, and I'm sorry if you're a Blues fan. I had a lot of hope in the beginning of the season that they would be good, and then they weren't, and now they're pretty good. I don't know. Billy Husso came in and started a few games, and he's been outstanding this season. Just outstanding. He's been fun to watch too. He's made some nice saves. Binnington's been all right. Last 5 games, he had 1 good game against, I think it was Vegas, and the other 4 games were not so great. You want a little more from Binnington. You gave him a 6x6 contract, 6 years, $6 million a year. He's there to be your number 1 goaltender. He's there to be your starting goaltender. You don't want to see him hover around like 909, 910, which isn't bad by any means, but you want to see him around 6 or 916, 918, somewhere around that range. So, yeah, Blues, not bad, not outstanding, but we'll see what the rest of the season brings. They're going to be a fun team to watch and see how they move throughout the standings. But next up, I have the Ducks, Anaheim. So, the Ducks rely a lot on goaltending. Gibson, he was injured. He came back for 1 game and would he give up like 6 goals or something, whereas Stolarz has been outstanding. But it's a very young team, high potential. They're gonna be, I'm sure they make the playoffs this year, but if they don't, they will make them next year. Drysdale's been excellent this year. He's had another really underrated season. You got the young guys. You got Zegras and all the young guys, and they're, in my opinion, this season they're probably top 2, top 3 teams to watch because they're fun. They're fun to watch. I don't see them going away. I think they have a lot of potential, and didn't see that coming at the beginning of the season. I thought they would improve, but not to a point where they would make the playoffs, and now they're like a favorite to make the playoffs. So, pleasant surprise, fun to watch. Go Ducks, I guess. It's a very different Ducks team from, like a decade ago when they had Kessler and Corey Perry and Getzlaf and Getzlaf's still there. I'm not a big Getzlaf guy, but it's a fun team to watch. Next up, we got the Flames from Calgary.
Flames is not enabled.
Don't know why my Alexa's talking to me. Flames have been good. They got off to a really good start. Last 10 games they've been playing about 500 hockey. They're 5-4-1 in their last 10. I don't know. Their goaltending's been excellent throughout the season. They've gotten some scoring, but guys like Sean Monahan, you kind of want a little more. We'll see what happens. I feel like they end up making a move to better their team to make a playoff run. we'll see. I kind of like the Flames, but I don't get to watch them too much because they're usually on at 10 p.m. my time, and I work a job in the morning, so they're a little tough to watch. But anyway, next up, Nashville Predators. If you told me I would have Nashville ranked 11th on my power rankings before the season started, I would have said you're nuts. There's no way that team is going to be this good. Here we are. Whether they won 7 games in a row. Check my notes. Yeah, seven games in a row. They are 19-10-1 on the season. They find ways to win. They just have. I don't know. UC Saros has been outstanding in net. The defense has been good. Roman Josi, I don't know. I know he's a reigning Norris winner. Not reigning, but he's a previous Norris winner. Dude, the way the dude plays, he jumps into the play when he knows he has defensive coverage and will score a goal. Or he's just a very defensive, responsible player. He thinks of defense first, but still gets all these points and just can be a playmaker and change the game. Forsberg's kind of a weird one to watch. Trying to grow out my Forsberg mustache. We're getting there. He can be creative. He makes a lot of plays happen, but I think he turns the puck over or causes too many turnovers too often, and those don't often show up on the score sheet. You can look at turnovers, but if you're making a pass to a guy and they receive the pass and immediately get hit, you cause that turnover, not necessarily the player that's receiving the pass. Fun team to watch. Go Nashville. I went there recently. Fun area, fun stadium, fun. Just a great environment. Kind of rooting for the fans to cheer for something. What is it? Next up, we have Vegas. Now, Vegas is getting healthy. They got Stone back. They got Pacioretty back. They are rolling and showing everybody that it's years later, it's still not a fluke. They're a solid team, top to bottom. They play defense. The Robin Leonard and goaltending. Their goaltending's been. Leonard's been all right, but he's very capable of stepping up when they need him to. Vegas is back. Unless they have another injury bug, they're staying up top and they're going to be a competitor this year. And don't forget they have Jack Eichel coming. And then what do you do with the cap space when Eichel comes back? We'll see. It'll be a fun team to watch and see what they do, but. Regardless, pretty solid team. Next up, number 9. Pittsburgh Penguins. Penguins have found their game. They're getting healthy. They're not 100% healthy, but they're their position is a lot better than it was, say, a month or 2 ago. They're winning games. They're playing well, top to bottom. Jari's playing well this year. It's Penguins are probably where we expected them to be at this point of the season. Here we are. They're in playoff contention. They're a good team. I don't see them slowing down. Next up, and this is kind of where it gets a little dicey, I guess, because a lot of these teams are really close, and I don't know. I'm sure a lot of power rankings have not the Washington Capitals at 8, but I do. The Caps are fun to watch. Ovechkin just having a career year. Man, they have so many overtime losses. It's not even funny. They just can't. They win, but they put too many games into overtime, and they lose in overtime. It's you want to see a team like this show more wins than they have, and I don't know, just kind of for that alone, it's kind of tough to move up because technically, you get a loss in overtime, you get a point, your points percentage is good, but you're not winning those games, For that, I couldn't really. I want to see more in regulation. I want to see more regulation wins. I don't want to see these games going into overtime and watching the Capitals lose again. We'll see. That's kind of why I have them at 8. I think oh my god, I can't speak. Don't mind that. They just don't have the wins. That's it. Next up, though, and this was actually, these kind of 3-4 teams were tough. I have the Colorado Avalanche. Right? Avalanche are back, and they're rolling. They're looking fantastic. They really found their game. That's all I can say. They're back. They might win their division this year. They got off to a slow start, and that's it. So, who will they be in competition with to win their division? Minnesota Wild. Minnesota Wild have had an outstanding season. All 4 lines for the Minnesota Wild contribute, offer something different, and can compete with most top lines in the league. It's incredible seeing their 4th line play, because you can put them out there against, Landeskog, Rantanen, and McKinnon, and they're going to play well, which is incredible. As I watch the Bruins, and can't really say that about 3 of their 4 lines. So it's been, wow. The Wild have really put it together, and they play a true team game. They are strong defensively. Brodin's been super underrated. Dumba has a scoring touch he may find this year, which could help him even more. What's it called? Spurgeon's been good. I think he just got hurt last game. But and Cam Talbot just playing out of his mind this year. And don't forget they have Kaapo Kähkönen in as a backup goalie, who's an outstanding young goaltender who has a lot of promise. Next up, Florida Panthers. They've been playing all right as of late. They haven't been playing great. They haven't been playing poor hockey, but they've really proven themselves in the beginning of the season that they're a very capable team. They're a playoff team. They're a Stanley Cup contender. There's still no question about that, and there really shouldn't be. Bobrovsky found his game again this year. Steve Ekblad, if I had to make, I might actually do this as mid-season awards or something, but Ekblad, he could be a Norris candidate for me. I don't know if I'd have him winning it. Maybe he might actually be second place. Anyway, dude, yeah, Florida's great. Next up, Toronto. Now, I have an issue keeping Toronto in the top 3 consistently. I know a lot of power rankings do that. That's okay. That's fine. They're a powerhouse of a team. But, they have the big 4 and Jack Campbell this season. Marner's out, so it's like the big 3 now. If the big 3 aren't scoring, they're not winning. Jack Campbell he's been having a Vezina season over there in Toronto, and if he's not playing well for a game, well, they have to outscore their opponents then. If the big 3 aren't scoring, they're not winning that game. So there's still some question marks with Toronto. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's funny because teams really haven't found a way to necessarily shut down the big guns that Toronto has. But then in the playoffs, it's like they almost don't show up, or they get shut down. I don't know. It's a really weird thing. This is just for the regular season. This isn't the playoffs. Toronto, really the top 4 teams are outstanding. The top 4 were it was pretty tough. At least 2 through 4 were tough to do. But Toronto's for real. They're an excellent team. See what happens in the playoffs, because they most certainly will be there. But yeah, I have them at 4. Next up, New York Rangers. This was tough. I absolutely love the game the Rangers have been playing. They've been fun to watch. Georgiev and Shesterkin in net. Georgiev, because Shesterkin's been hurt, has been playing fantastic hockey. Kreider, who's just putting the puck in the net. Panarin, Zibanejad. You got Fox and Keandre Miller, and it's a stacked young team, and they're good. They're no joke. They're here. They're contenders, and they're tearing up the league this year. There's not much more to say about it. They're fantastic, and honestly, I'm never really rooted for the Rangers in my lifetime, but it's been a long time. It's good to see them go on a run. This is an exciting time to be a Rangers fan. Yeah. So with that being said, number 2, Carolina Hurricanes. They're a powerhouse. They're a good team, top to bottom. If someone's not producing, the rest of the team is. There were some questions coming into the season. How was Freddie Anderson going to do in net? Is he going to have a bounce back season, or is he going to be and kind of lose his game? How is Tony DeAngelo going to do? At this point, there's been no questions. It's been a top to bottom solid team playing excellent hockey. We know with Tony DeAngelo, we've seen him play, half seasons, full seasons in the NHL. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. If anything, it doesn't appear there's anything because they're playing really well as a team. There doesn't seem to be any locker room turmoil. But it's still early to kind of get a read on how DeAngelo's attitude has changed, if it's changed at all. And hopefully it has. He's been an excellent player to watch, but we'll see. But yeah, Carolina Hurricanes are killing it. They've been fun to watch this year. Svechnikov, Niches, stacked, but only behind number 1, Tampa. I didn't think they could do it. I didn't think after 2 Stanley Cup championships, because those are long seasons in a very short off season. When it's not COVID, even shorter during COVID. They lost a lot of players to make room for them in their cap, and they are still showing that they are the best team in hockey right now. It's incredible. They got off to an okay start. They weren't horrible, but they weren't great. And, their hangover's over. They're playing best hockey you're going to watch of any team. They're making a really strong case to get 3 Stanley Cups in a row, which is insane. So that's those are my power rankings. Dude, these are always controversial, and I know I'm going to get some comments on this because there's a few comments you can make. But this is just fun. I just did this for fun. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think's too high, too low. If you have any other comments on certain teams, again, I do apologize for not having the Seattle Kraken and the Vegas Magnets. But I just got these magnets in. I thought it'd be fun to at least do something with them. All right. That's it for this. Thanks for watching, and all right, take care, guys.